Welcome to the Hidden Truth once again. This day we are at the Supreme Court in Nassau County, Mineola. We are here for a press conference with Mr. Glenn Vickers. Mr. Vickers is a black attorney who has been suspended. If you remember, we've mentioned him on our show many times. He defended a black girl named Sharon Thomas, who was accused of murdering a white man. They took Mr. Vickers off the case in the middle of the trial and gave Ms. Sharon Thomas a white attorney, of which she ended up in prison, and she remains there to this day. So we're here for a press conference with different TV stations, and we'll see what transpires. Stay tuned.
Was suspended in January 1997 in the middle of a murder defense of African-American woman, Sharon Thomas, then accused of murdering, at that time, was accused of murdering her white boyfriend, Frank Olivia. I'm going to let the articulation go, pass it on to Attorney Glenn Vickers.
Yes. Good morning. Thank you very much for attending. My name is Attorney Glenn Vickers Bay, and for approximately 8 years, I have fought a battle for the right to practice law here within the state of New York. My battle at this point is in the courts. In fact, I had a hearing on July 14th, year 2000. I am suing the state of New York for $106 million to end racial profiling of black attorneys. I have sued Governor Pataki personally. I have sued President Majority Leader Joseph Bruno. I've also sued the Speaker of the Assembly, Sheldon Silver, as well as Controller Carl McCall. Though they are not directly involved in the misconduct, I have sued them from a point of view that they have personal knowledge, and as leaders in the state, it is up to them to act in terms of moving and impeaching the judges that are involved, and also making legislation, whether it's affirmative action plans, to cure the bigotry that is overt in the criminal justice system and the court system here in Long Island, but also throughout the state of New York. The first thing that I have to tell you that it is undisputed that there is racism and bigotry in the state of New York. And the reason why that is that the Court of Appeals in 1991, April, issued a report. It's a report of the New York State Judiciary Committee on Minorities. In this report, and compiled by, I say lovingly, white folks. So this court report compiled by the system says, in fact, that it discriminates against minority attorneys, it discriminates against minority defendants. Every aspect of the court system, in fact, is racist according to this report. What I'm looking to do is to end or have the politicians address this issue that affects so many minority families. And so from that, in terms of what it has done to my particular family, basically they've taken my income. I'm married, a father of 6 children. They've not allowed me to work. And in fact, the fact that I was suspended in the middle of a murder defense where I would have been the first African-American, I'm Moorish American, but the first man of color to defend someone in a murder conviction, a murder trial in the history of Suffolk County, speaks volume of the misconduct that was affirmed and permitted by judges in the Appellate Division, 2nd Department, also judges on the Court of Appeals, Albert Rosenblatt in particular. So what I'm trying to do at this point is to get back in the practice of law, have my years of lost income and revenue returned, also my good name. I might add that in terms of the law profession being 96.1% white, according again to the commission, how does that come about, and how are minority attorneys being wiped out of the industry? For myself, and here in Long Island, the common practice before 1991, 1992, was to arrest minority attorneys much the way they arrested civil rights workers in Mississippi who were trying to get people to vote. Myself, I was arrested, as was Robert Rivers, a number of other prominent minority attorneys. There really weren't that many of us anyway, 6. But we've all been arrested in the past. During my trial, and again I have a B misdemeanor, during my trial I was denied a public trial. By the way, this was all on the record. It was before the judges. I was denied a public trial. I was denied expert witnesses. I was denied the right to cross-examine my accuser. And I was in front of a judge who boasted of sticking it to me for not taking a plea. So the trial itself was an outrage. Fascinating enough, the trial came about from a dancing in public at 4:30 in the afternoon, and about a month later, a woman brought charges of sexual abuse. I was prosecuted by Kenneth Littman, who incidentally was later dismissed from the Nassau DA's office for making sexual attempts to buy sex here in the courthouse with a 17-year-old girl. He wasn't arrested, by the way, but I went through arrest for 3 years. I was made to go to court. I've been in national bestsellers in terms of my background and my character, and I was never offered an ACOD dismissal. They knew that my accuser was a young woman who just had came out of the psychiatric ward, was on Prozac, and admitted to drinking. She testified that she brought charges because the people in the Suffolk County DA's office told her to bring the charges. That's on the record. So from a point of view, even with a misdemeanor, B misdemeanor conviction, in the matter of Hemlock, 1976 case decided by the same appellate division judges that suspended me on the 52 appellate division 2nd, page 248, a B misdemeanor is not grounds for dismissal of a lawyer. So even if you wanted to say that, well, we dismissed you on a B misdemeanor, that's not grounds under law to dismiss a person. Yet they dismissed me in the middle of a murder trial. I believe this backs up the findings of discrimination against minority attorneys, those who are outspoken, and again, it must stop because minorities, Latinos, Hispanics make up 1.6%. They even have it worse than black attorneys. And together, black and Hispanics make up 90% of those that are incarcerated. So our people are now looking to lawyers from our own ilk to come in and represent them. The profession is saying that we're not going to permit that type of aggressive representation for minorities. It must stop. And again, I'm reaching out to Governor Pataki to address this issue firmly, and I believe he's a good man. That's in my heart. Some people say that I'm naive in that regard, but I believe that he's got a obligation, since he has appointed one of the judges in question, Albert Rosenblatt. I think he has a obligation to remove him, as also judges Guy Mangano, also judges Sandra Miller, Lawrence Bracken, and also Judge O'Brien as well. They have consistently ruled that minorities are not permitted to have a public trial. We're not permitted to introduce expert witnesses, that black attorneys cannot practice law. We cannot own law practices, that minority attorneys can't handle the big cases, even though our clients wish us to. And I just might end with a letter from my client, Sharon Thomas, who was forced into, after her family paid me, by the way, so even our right to contract has been abused in terms of being able to contract with a fellow minority. But Sharon Thomas, her letter from prison back in April 12th of 1997 says, Mr. Vickers, Bay, I respectfully request that you resume representation as attorney of record on my case. I understand that your license to practice should be reinstated as of April of 97. Mr. Vickers, since my incarceration as of November 95, I have been through 4 different attorneys, and I truly believe these highly unprecedented changes will hurt me in presenting a defense that will vindicate me and prove my innocence. My parents and I feel strongly that my constitutional rights have been violated because of your removal from my case. This has led to the court appointing an attorney pursuant to Article 18B of the county law, and this frightens me because this new law counsel is not working in my best interest. My lack of knowledge of the law, the seriousness of the charges, murder, leveled against me, require that I am afforded trustworthy representation by counsel that is working in my best interest. Furthermore, due to the fact that my parents have retained you and paid you a sum of money that they have struggled to come up with, we feel it is only right that you complete this job, especially considering that you are familiar with the facts and circumstances surrounding this complicated case. Mr. Vickers, I'm finding it increasingly difficult to trust the people that are supposed to represent me in this matter where my very life is at stake. I therefore urge that you can reconsider taking my case, and I've been eagerly waiting your reply. I have fought through the court system. I've been denied that opportunity. My client, an African-American woman, has been denied the choice of counsel. We've helped build this country, and we should have the same rights as whites to pick who's going to represent us. That's at least what we need to be able to do. And the fact that I was suspended in the middle of a trial, and I don't know if anyone has ever seen a situation where that's ever happened again, even in the old South. This cannot be tolerated. I know that I will not permit it, and I'm hoping that there will be outrage within the minority community to make the elected officials respond accordingly. I'd also like to thank from Baltimore, I have had Moorish Americans fly, civil rights attorneys from California this morning. I'd like to recognize Sheikh Hazel L. To my right, I want to thank him for bringing Moorish Americans from Philadelphia, Syracuse, Chicago, Texas, here today for this meeting. I also would like to thank the newly elected vice moderator from the Eastern Conference of Baptist Ministers. That's over 280 of the strongest black churches, historical civil rights powerhouses, who's here today, and that's Minister Reverend Watson. And I'd like to thank him for coming as well as the other dignitaries. We have the NAACP branch president, Mr. Somerville. We want to thank him as well for his participation here today. So again, the case, I waited until after the case had gone to court on July 14th on the merits before coming out publicly on this matter. And so that's the basis of my news conference.
Mr. Vickers, do
Yes.
you feel that the law is not applicable to you because of your Moorish ascendancy, since that's become an issue?
I believe that it's just even more basic of any attorney of color basically has been denied access. Any attorney of color, whether you like Alton Maddox or what he says, First Amendment allows him to have freedom of expression. He shouldn't lose his license because he doesn't want to give confidential information about his client to the authorities. So the fact that I'm a Moor probably has added to the fact that I'm going to fight this until it's corrected. So I don't think, for me personally, it's not a negative, but maybe to the powers that be it is. I don't really know their mindset, other than what it says here in the report, that there's a lot of bigotry and racism in the court system.
Now, U.S. Marshals of African American descent as well have taken their claims to court.
Yes.
Police departments across the country are now taking their claims to case. Do you feel that this is just indicative of the racism that permeates the society? What we are now seeing is that the police, black police officers, are powerless, as well as black lawyers. Is this a case of just the racial hatred that is permeating this society?
It runs deep because on a personal level, I'm married with 6 children. They took my income. So there's a callousness, and so perhaps that is correct, but this has got to stop.
Which of the judges that you were talking about was the one that was boasting to sticking it to you?
That was Judge Armin Arugio of District Court in Suffolk County. And so that's Judge. I've gone through District Court, appellate term in Nassau County, Brooklyn appellate term, appellate division in Brooklyn, Court of Appeals in Albany. I've gone to basically almost every level of court for even the basic recognition of constitutional rights. I'm an attorney. If this is happening to me, and it has, and it's documented, what is happening to the black child that has no father, who has no clue of what's happening here? I've come here from IBM, Arthur Anderson, Kidder Peabody, Assistant District Attorney. So my background, Lotus Development, account executive. So my background is excellent. So to be denied basic constitutional rights, to have my family destroyed, we lost our home. This is America. How can you take someone's business in the middle of a trial? How can you deny somebody their attorney? How can you deny me a living, a livelihood? I went to law school for 8 years. I worked in the day, went at night. No one gave me this. This isn't some welfare case. I worked for it. I'm not taking it for free.
Who, when they took your license away, is it the state bar? So who actually does that?
The Appellate Division Second Department sanctions that. There's some influence from the Bar Association. I have since handed to the Suffolk County Bar Association a copy of my lawsuit, and its new president, Mr. O'Brien, has come out in the newspaper very strongly saying that diversity is going to be a reality, not just a policy. So that was a response, I believe, to the lawsuit that I filed, and he's seen a copy of it. The American Bar Association is outraged. Their letter of outrage is also included in my lawsuit, and that's the largest association of attorneys in the nation. So when you look at it, and the fact is that the NAACP asked me to represent Sharon Thomas. So going into the footsteps of Thurgood Marshall, etc., so forth, I was willing to do. I did it at a discount, but again, to this day, there has never been a minority attorney in Suffolk County handle a case of that magnitude. It hasn't happened.
What was the reason why you were suspended?
The reason given, as I articulated, was the reason that they chose was a B misdemeanor. But as I spoke to you in terms of the matter of Hemlock, a case out of their court, 52 at AD, and that's the Second Department, 248, it's not grounds for suspension. That's the basis that they used. It's illegal. And then if you look at the underlying case where I was denied a public trial, pre-trial hearing, they added cases, charges at summation. Even if it was a legitimate conviction, and it was not, you still can't take my license. So this is really just ignoring the law, taking another black attorney out. Ed Howlett, by the way, another married man, all the attorneys before 91 that got the sex charge were all married men, because it affects your marriage. Luckily, I married a model who's very comfortable and confident in herself, so she didn't. It bothered her, but you know, she knows me. So, but you can't continue to attack the reputation of those people who are just defending people's rights. I made a motion, an oath, rather, to participate in what would be called poverty law, minority law, civil rights areas. I'm still going to do that once I clarify this, and perhaps this is the greatest civil rights case that I'll ever have. If I can, in fact, open the door for the next generation of minority attorneys, I would have done a great deal for my people.
Could you tell us what was the underlying facts of this conviction, the B misdemeanor?
The underlying facts was I had left the Suffolk County District Attorney's office. I had a 2-year commitment to work there. I only worked for 1. Whether it's retaliatory, I'm not sure. But soon thereafter, I was asked, recommended I should go into New York to practice. I didn't take that hint. And within a month, I was asked to come. They called me to come to a afternoon where former ADAs were. The new ADAs were involved, assistant district attorneys. It was a dance in broad daylight. I was dancing with one other person, and this woman that my later accuser, I spun her around as you do those dances and left. I didn't ask to dance with her, nor did I know that she had just gotten out of a psychiatric ward, Huntington Hospital. That's on the record, by the way. that she was on Prozac, which is the mind-altering drug.
What did she accuse you of doing?
She accused me of grabbing her too tight on her waist, and when I spun her, that I hit her breast, and that was the act of sexual abuse, for which I had more prosecutors than Colin Ferguson and Joel Rifkin, the two mass murderers. I had more prosecutors than both those men combined. I had 6 over 3 years. They made me go to court every month for 3 years, 36 court appearances, and without extending any type of offer consistent with my background.
So, I'm sorry, I apologize. So she accused you of sex abuse, or
Yes,
based on that one incident?
that's correct.
When
Correct.
was the incident?
Back in 90, God, I think it was 92 was her allegation. The incident that occurred after her mother. Yes, ma'am.
I'm Julia Gambino. I'm Americans for Legal Reform.
Yes, ma'am.
So Judith Kay, the appellate judge, she came down with the ruling that if any attorneys have sex with their clients, it has to be. So in other words, the attorneys that have sex with their clients
Yes.
for payment,
Yes.
shouldn't they be disbarred?
That's absolutely, but that has nothing to do with a woman that I don't even know about.
Well, we know that,
But
but
Judith Kay's argument, I think what was happening, we're kind of off the subject, but very quickly, some matrimonial attorneys were making women who were down on the
Exactly.
luck
But
have
they
sex
are-
with them. But that has nothing to do with
I
me.
understand that, but don't you think that if they did this to you, what about those attorneys that had these
yeah.
had these things happen to them?
Well,
And there were many of
yeah.
them.
See, I don't know, that's beyond my expertise.
But that's the way it is.
But I thank you for adding that.
You're welcome.
Yes. Any other questions?
Mr. Vickers,
Yes.
what was the district attorney that was in
Uh,
office?
Dennis Dillon's office prosecuted me as he was also the... there's only been one other black attorney who handled the murder case, and that was Attorney Rivers here in Nassau County. And within a year and a half, under suspect circumstances, he was arrested and he went to jail for 3 years. I would have been the second minority attorney. So in that regard, maybe they viewed that they were doing me a favor. But this is not just Long Island issue. Long Island has a peculiar, harsh way of handling its minority lawyer problem. But throughout the state, you're seeing people being suspended for basically standing up for the rights for minorities, or fellow minorities. My IBM training, I'm polite. I've never been asked to, sanctions in the court for demeanor or anything else, but I have been effective. And you just can't get away from the bad smell factor of taking a man in the middle of a case and telling him to go while his client is saying, no, this can't be. And we're here in even the old Soviet Union, they didn't do that. So we shouldn't tolerate it here. My lawsuit is going to be in the hands of the moderator of the Baptist ministry and the 280 churches who are going to have that. My Moorish brothers are going to put this on the internet. We're going to fax this to every assembly person and senator, New York senator, because we'd like to have impeachment proceedings against judges who believe this profession should be for whites only. 96.1%. Do you know of any other profession that is so exclusionary as 96.1%? On the flip side, 90% of everyone incarcerated is black or Puerto Rican. Mathematically, it's impossible to do this. I might add, that I've been a substitute teacher at the Wyandanch school system. My conviction came up. I gave them my record. They were going to fire me. I gave them the minutes of my case to mothers as well as the lawyers at the Wyandanch school district, and they said, there's no way we're going to deny you a chance to teach. This is outrageous. And they really were very sympathetic. So I want to thank the Wyandanch community for giving me a home these last 3 years.
Is that what you've been doing?
I've been a substitute teacher for 3 years.
Good for you.
Could you just explain to me, so...
If it's not making any sense to you, there's
No,
a
no, no.
reason for that.
Well, it's not. I want to make the connection between the fact that you were suspended in the middle of this trial for
Right.
the sex conviction.
Yes.
how does that relate to racial profiling of attorneys?
Well, what happens is that black attorneys, according to this book, are being charged, page 89, are being charged. How do you get rid of an attorney if you have nothing else to do? Well, you go charge them. You charge them. They brought me to a place, an employee under their control, who testified that they told her to bring these charges. A month later, brings charges. So black attorneys are having experiences here in the state of New York and around the country, actually, from the state of New York that no one else is having. So if you tarnish our reputation, we become less effective. If you're into civil rights, we'll make you, instead of a civil rights attorney, you're now some type of, you're a sex offender. I continued to fight, and really the problem is that if they were going to go through all this trouble, they needed to have made me a felon instead of it being misdemeanor. So they thought that maybe after hurting me in one way, giving me the kangaroo court deal, it's on the record, that I was going to go away. But I've been in Babylon for 5 generations. I've been a Newsday, high school American, the whole bit. So my family is staying, I'm going to stay and continue to fight. But if all these things are targeting blacks, the arrests, the excessive punishment for representing people. I mean, it says on page 89, black attorneys are more likely to be suspended for representing the unpopular client as would whites. I'm not supposed to handle a case like a murder case. I'm supposed to do the cats in the tree. Though I've been groomed by IBM, Wall Street, accounting, and the DA's office. I reject that and won't accept that.
Are you saying that the woman who accused you of the sex abuse was all planned to single you out to get rid of you?
Another attorney from the Amistad Suffolk County Bar Association, until he decides to come up personally, was told, see what we did to Vickers, we can do to you. Stay in your place. So, from my point of view, it's hard for me to know the mindset of people. Why would they bring all this out, or why would they bring all this to me? But the fact that former FBI agent Ed Howlett, an attorney, had the same charge, I find peculiar. So again, I'm not here to say anything other than, as a matter of law, that case in a matter of law is really irrelevant.
But that was, I just wanted.
But that was their basis.
Yeah,